Well, good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, I should say. I guess it's not evening yet, but it is after 4 o'clock, so I'd like to call the meeting to order. Can we establish a quorum, please, Ms. Nelda? Yes. Ms. Veronica Gonzalez, here. Mr. Dan Diaz.
Present.
Ms. Sabrina Walker Hernandez. Mr. Raul Resendez. Mr. Eddie Garza. Mr. Roland Gomez is absent today, and so is Mr. Aaron Rivera. Okay, thank you. And we want to welcome Mr. Eddie Garza, who is new to our board. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for giving your time and energies and your know-how to the City of Edinburgh's economic development.
Thank you all for the opportunity. Looking forward to working with you all. Welcome, Mr. Garza.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And let's do the Pledge of Allegiance, I guess, before we do anything else.
Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Can we verify that our public notice is certified?
Yes, ma'am. The agenda was posted on July 28th, 2022 at 4:35 p.m.
Perfect. And Omar, will you discuss with us conflict of interest, please?
Sure. Under state law, a conflict of interest exists if a member or certain persons of that member's family have a qualifying financial interest in an agenda item. If there is a conflict of interest, the member can't participate or vote on the agenda item. Are there any known conflicts of interest to disclose?
No.
While I don't believe it's a conflict of interest in the sense that I don't have a personal interest in it, there is an agenda item, I think it's I, on here, 6I, that involves the university, which is my employer, so I'm going to abstain from that particular item.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, public comments. Do we have any public comments?
We do not at this time.
All right. Thank you. And then director's report.
Just quickly, we included several pieces of information in the packet. Just wanted to highlight the sales tax information. We are up 8% from this time compared to last year for the EEDC's portion and about 15% for the city's portion. Our unemployment rate for June was reported for Edinburgh at 5.8%, which is also a decrease of 1% from this time compared to last year. And just for information purposes, the county's rate is at 8% and the Texas rate is at 4.1% for the same period. Staff has worked with approximately 31 prospects for this last month regarding relocating, expanding, or starting new businesses in the city. They've done a Reaching Out program, which is a business retention and expansion program. They conducted 2 visits to Holtcat and Gateway Printing, and that's really just to stay in touch with our local businesses to make sure that that they are having their needs met, and if there's anything that we can assist them with. The Spark program, Spark 4.0, just an update. There was a total of 110 applications received from January to the deadline, and there's 61 pending to be reimbursed by October 1st, 2022. The marketing, we have third quarter social media reports that are included in the packets that have updates on the social media pages. And then just wanted to inform the board, the RGV Partnership is conducting their leadership class. It's a 9-month educational program that they discuss the region's collaboration with other leaders in the area. And there's an express interest from some of our staff to attend, and wanted to open it up to the board to see if they were interested in attending. I know Sabrina was interested, but they do talk about economic development, they talk about sales tax, and everything relating to economic development on a regional level. It starts September 16th, a retreat, and then they meet once a month every Friday. It's an all-day event from 9 to 4 once a month. So if you're all interested, please let me know and we can sign you up. I think the deadline is August 5th to sign up for, so if you'd like, we could sign you up for that.
I think that one is where you have to be recommended, and then they select you to be on that partnership?
Yes, you put in an application,
leadership.
and then they'll select
Okay.
those applicants. They have a certain number that qualify.
Nelda, what, on the Spark monies, of the 61 that are pending to be reimbursed, if not all are reimbursed, what happens to that money?
That money will stay in the pool, and we can use that for other qualified projects.
Okay, so we'll still have time under that grant?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions for Nelda on the director's report? Okay. All right, let's go to the regular agenda items, item number 6. Our first is our election of officers. So, as you know, we're kind of revamping now here as a board, and we'll be more of an independent board soon. And so we need to elect our officers. At the current time, we had Hiren Govin, who is our president, and he's no longer on the board. So we'll need to elect the president. Our vice president has been Roland Gomez, and then our secretary, I was secretary, and Ronnie is treasurer. So I'm going to open that up for election of officers. If anybody has any nominations.
I'd like to make a motion to elect Veronica Gonzalez president and Raul Resendez secretary, and the vice and treasurer remain the same.
Any discussion on that?
Well, motion needs
Or
a
any other
second.
nominations?
My motion needs a second before
Oh,
we can
okay,
talk
is there a
about it.
second, I'm sorry, is there a second on the motion?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Well, I appreciate the vote of confidence, Dan. And I love to give 150% to anything I do, and I want to give a full disclosure that in years where there's a legislative session coming up, even though I'm no longer the legislature, I go up there quite often for work. And so I know that there will be times that I'll be out of town. Now, I am more than willing to serve in this capacity if y'all still want to have me, but I did want to be transparent about it to let you know that. And happy to give what I can to the EDC, of course.
Well, I feel confident, like I've told everyone, what we do here is what we do as a formality for everything we do, but most of the work happens outside of here. Everyone is a representative of our city in all our capacities, and I just think you fit the role well. I know that our vice president can cover anytime you're not going to be here, and of course our secretary. I'll just say that as long as the times lets our vice president make the meetings, I think we'll be okay. And thank you for accepting the nomination. Raul, you okay with the nomination?
Yes, thank you as well, Dan. I look forward to also participating and serving under the secretary role, so thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we have our new slate of officers. Thank you all for that vote of confidence. I will give it my very best.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, discussion and possible action on the Edinburgh EDC board meeting time. Oh my gosh, we've gone over this a million times, but I think here we go again, right? So we had wanted to make sure that we could have folks that are in the public that want to comment, come for public comment, or even they can call in also for public comment. So talked about starting, we don't want it to start too late, but at the same time not too early that people don't have access. So I think last time we talked about maybe 5 o'clock. Is everybody okay with 5 o'clock if we were to do that? All right, so can I get a motion to have a regular meeting time of 5 p.m.?
I make a motion to schedule regular meeting time at 5 p.m.
A second?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we're 5 o'clock from here on out on our EDC board meetings. Okay, and now the minutes for June 28th and July 12th. I don't know if everybody's had an opportunity to review the minutes, but if so, can I get a motion to approve the board minutes for those 2 dates?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Board meetings are approved, minutes are approved. Financial report, presentation of financial report for April through June, item D. Welcome.
Good evening, EDC Board and President. Davo Soto, Director of Finance for City of Edinburgh. The report you have in front of you is the corporation's third quarter financials ending in June 30th. I hope these financials start looking more familiar, because I know this is like the format we've been using, so hopefully it'll be every quarter will be more easy on the eyes. So the content of the report I first want to start off with is the balance sheet. What I want to note on the balance sheet is assets. Total assets is $59,754,360. From that, the current cash is $11.8 million. Restricted cash is $33.5 million. And you'll see sales tax receivable for $683,000. That's for the month of May, which is received in July. And the big major receivable of Santana for $12 million. Current liabilities is 2.9, and fund balance is $56,755,480. And from those two components, the restricted portion of that fund balance is $49.8 million, and the unrestricted is $6.9 million, which is a very healthy unrestricted fund balance. It's about a whole year's worth of sales tax revenue. Next is the monthly budget activity report. So for the third quarter revenue activity, there was 1.6 million. For year to date for 6.3, which is 81% of the targeted budgeted, which is where we're at, 75% at the time of this reporting. So we're 6% above our target. For expenditures, we're at 495,000 for the third quarter, and year to date at 4.7, which is 40% of the target of the budget, again being at 75% of the fiscal year. And also there you will see some third quarter expenses of some revenue bond projects. You'll see from Dulip for 298,000, and some expenditures of Capable Kids Beethoven. Next section is summary of the EDC's cash balances. What I want to report there is that the unrestricted cash balance increased 2.4 million for the quarter, but the net year to date is 748,000. The restricted cash balance decreased 283,000 for the quarter, year to date 293,000, but of course that is mainly due to the debt service payments. And last, just to touch on the sales tax revenue, which was reported on the ED report. Yes, for the month of May, it did increase 8% month over month, at 14% for the year. And compared to local surrounding cities, Edinburgh was ranked 5th as far as month to month and year for year, but in a calendar basis. Is there any questions regarding financials? I'd be more than happy to answer.
I had a question about the A Center parking garage. It's 7 million and 2 million. I thought, Myra, wasn't that more closer to 13 million, that the EDC's participation in the project?
For the ACE building, sir,
ACE
it is 7 and 7, so it's 14. Yes, sir.
And I see 2 million for parking garage. Does that sound right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So it's 7 EDC and then 7 city?
Correct.
And so then the 2 million, it's 2 and 2, so the 3 floors is 4 million, is that correct?
At this time.
Yeah.
On the parking garage, did the county have a portion of that as well?
Not to my knowledge, I think it was just the property.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Dago? Thank you, Dago. Do we need a motion to approve the financials? No?
It's a
Okay, thank you.
presentation.
Just a discussion item. Okay, item E then, discussion and possible action regarding the removal and addition of authorized signers for the EDC accounts at Texas National Bank, Techstar, and any other financial institution.
Yes, ma'am. We have right now 3 signers on all the banking accounts for the EEDC. And with the loss of our 2 prior employees, we'd like to have action to remove those 2 signers from those accounts. That would leave our finance director as the only signer, and we'd like to add our board president as a signer until we can get a director on board.
Okay. Can we get a motion to take such action? Remove the prior...
So moved, with discussion, please.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, are those 2 signatures going to be enough for day-to-day? Do we need to add somebody else, maybe like Nelda?
Well, it only requires 1 signature for payables. We can add myself as one as well temporarily until you can get a director.
Would that have to be a new motion, Omar?
Yes, if the original motion could be withdrawn and then a new motion made.
Okay, I withdraw my motion. And my new motion is to add president, the finance director, and Nelda to our accounts and remove the 2 employees that are no longer with the EDC.
I'll second.
Okay, second by Raul. Any further discussion? If not, can I get a vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all opposed? Anyone opposed? No. All right. So the 3 possible signatories then will be our city manager, Nelda Ramirez with EDC, and myself. Okay, thank you. All right. Discuss and consider approval of the Edinburgh Economic Development Corporation sponsorship policy.
Yes, ma'am. We do not have a policy in place for sponsorships, and I know there was interest by the board to have something in place. There were some parameters that had been discussed previously, and we asked our city attorney to draft a policy, and that's what's included in your packet today. So, Omar, if you'd like to address what was included in that agreement, if you don't mind.
Sure. So for the sponsorship policy, the basic guidance is in what instances the EDC will provide financial benefit, in-kind benefit, even staff supporting benefit in certain instances to organizations that request these resources from the EDC. The policy here is pretty straightforward as it's been drafted. It essentially directs organizations to make their applications to the executive director. All applications will be funneled to the executive director for consideration. I know there's not one currently in place, but I understand that that's the plan, is to move towards that. There are some specific requirements in terms of the types of events and organizations that can make applications. And there's also some specific exclusions on the types of events and organizations that automatically will not be considered, either because they have some specific purpose, such as fundraising for a sole individual, that's not considered something that the EDC would fund, or it falls within some category, such as illegal activity that the EDC would not want to participate in. So those are the kind of the more straightforward aspects of the sponsorship policy, but there are a few items probably worth consideration and discussion so that this can be a deliberate decision. The way that I've drafted it, essentially there's 3 layers of sponsorship approval. The first is any requests that are $1,000 or less could be approved directly by the executive director without board action or city council action. Requests within 1,000 to 5,000 would require board action. The executive director could not do that on their own. And then any amounts exceeding 5,000 would require not just the EDC board, but the city council to approve as well. So these tiers are essentially just suggestions, right? They're just kind of drafted, but it's worth, I think, for the board to consider what amounts to set those limits at. The other consideration is how far in advance the EDC will require applications to be made. Right now, what's been drafted is that if it's a request that requires EDC board action, that the request be made at least 45 days prior to the event. If it does not require board action, then at least 30 days prior to the event. I'm sure all of you have been involved in community organization events, and so you know better than I do what the kind of deadlines and timelines are like in that process. So, but it is, I think, worth it for the board to consider what these deadlines should be.
Well, I can tell you from being on the chamber here in Edinburgh that there's some events that are planned in less than 30 days. So even 30 days would be tough because of the, how close it is from the time that the event is set to the time it's going to take place. I think for some larger organizations, it may be something, but we get all different kinds of sponsorships, right? And then some of them are the kind where, hey, there's going to be a luncheon that's going to be to discuss economic development, let's say. That one might be taking place in 2 weeks, but then you're going to get the ones that are for a long-term project that may take, is 6 months down the road. So while I think that these are some really good guidelines, they may not work in all circumstances. So maybe we break it down even further to say if it's a, I don't know, if it's a community type event or something like that, it's a 10-day notice or something, and if it's, or 2 weeks or something, and then if it's the other kind, 30 days and beyond.
Right. I thought that might be a concern. I factored kind of that into the quick action sometimes that's necessary to respond to these. If that's the direction the board wants to go, the best means would be to be just as flexible as possible. There are natural deadlines in place because the board only meets so often, city council only meets so often, so those will be kind of realistic deadlines. But what we can do is essentially just strike that paragraph right now that has deadlines in place, and it's basically taken on a case-by-case basis.
What do y'all think?
Omar, can we subtitle we encourage something regarding the debt, because we know how things occur, right? But something that still may encourage 30 days, 45 days. I mean, we encourage you to quickly apply or ask. I think something relevant to still attempting to get these early for planning purposes and budgeting would still be important.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
As a guide.
Right. So that can be done. In addition to the policy, there's also an application form that was drafted and it's included with all of this. We can make that clear on the application as well, right? That highly encouraged to apply at least 30 days in advance of the event.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, the early bird gets the worm.
Yeah.
So,
That's right. Yeah, and also I see 10,000 per organization per year. I know that just for the chamber alone, one of the events, it's I think at 15,000. It's been historically every year. So how would that work? I think we need to keep things like that in mind.
Yeah, so that's also a limit, right, that the board can set as to what you think is appropriate for any particular organization. Should there be a cap? Should there not be a cap? Is it also case by case? That's up for the board to decide as well.
Yeah, well, I think this is a good start. I think we all need to go over it and come up with our own suggestions so that we have an idea of what we want to put out. Is there anything here that says it's got to be presented to the office before presenting to the board? Anything like that on here?
Yes.
A few times there's been where they kind of bypass the office and we didn't know what or who or...
That is addressed in here. So it does say specifically written applications have to be submitted to the executive director, and then there's an added sentence that says if it goes anywhere else, it's still going to have to go to the executive director for consideration.
Thank you. I think it's a good start. I think we
Yeah, I
got to do
agree.
some homework on it.
yeah, let's take a look at it and get a consensus and then bring it up again for the following meeting to vote on. So no action at this time on item number F, or letter F. G, discuss and consider approval of the funding proposal submitted by Valley Initiative for Development and Advancement, VIDA, and I believe we have some guests here today.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Edinburgh EDC Board of Directors. My name is Felida Villarreal, Executive Director at Valley Initiative for Development and Advancement. I'd like to firstly take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for the potential consideration to reestablish a partnership with VIDA. The last time Edinburgh EDC entered into an agreement with VIDA was back in 2015, and that was at an investment level of $292,000. So it's been about 7 years that we have not reestablished that collaboration. And for those who may not be as familiar with VIDA, VIDA is a non-profit 501c corporation established in October of 1995 through a joint collaboration between Valley interfaith leaders and industry leaders at the time under a national agenda identifying rural empowerment zones, right? So our continued mission has been in identifying low-income, low-wage, low-skilled workers and giving them the opportunity to retrain and to upskill. And subsequently, we provide job placement services to make sure that they're placed within target demand occupations, leading to family-sustaining wage employment. Why should you invest in VIDA? Firstly, VIDA is a complete approach model, right? So our model simultaneously addresses a lot of the common barriers and challenges that our students face. One of them being economic barriers, right? We still live in an MSA ranked with one of the highest poverty rates in the nation. So we do provide that customized financial assistance for tuition, textbooks, tools, any academic related expense for their program. But more importantly is that we provide that ongoing intensive case management services, which means VIDA has our own career counselors on staff that provide that ongoing mentoring, career guidance, one-on-one and in group as well on a weekly basis and on a monthly basis hosting workshops with different industry partners. I can tell you that, for example, we have a monthly workshop partnered with JP Chase where they come in and teach our students about financial literacy. So our ultimate goal is building these well-rounded individuals for the workforce. And through these sessions that they have with their counselor, they're able to address issues such as time management, family responsibilities, life stressors, because predominantly and historically we target the at-risk learner, right, which many times is our adult learner or, our student that has a language barrier, that, may not have English as their primary language, that are single parents, and it just takes one of those factors to, not enable them to persist in their education. So in 2020, we actually partnered with UTRGV in conducting an economic impact study. And the study reported that for every dollar invested into our model, you receive a return on investment of $14.74, right? And that we're able to capture that through the growth earnings that we track our students. So aside from the job placement, we also provide follow-up services to all of our students for up to 2 years. So during those 2 years post-graduation, we're able to track them and report their career advancement. Last fiscal year, VIDA served 464 students with an average persistence rate of 93%, which if you compare that traditionally in just our regional area at the local college, historically the average persistence rate at the local college is between 55 to 60%. So we do bring in that added value on just persistence. We also reported an average salary of over $45,000. And just to give you a little bit of background on our student demographic, a third of our students were single parents, and 64% were between the ages of 25 and 50 years old. So in my grant proposal for the upcoming fiscal year, I'd like to respectfully request your consideration for a grant award in the amount of $250,000 to support 55 Edinburgh residents. And so the eligibility criteria would include that one, they would need to be an Edinburgh resident. They must be 18 years of age or older, they must be eligible to work in the U.S., and they must meet the low-income eligibility criteria based on 200% of the federal poverty guidelines. And this is to ensure that, we're providing that assistance to the residents who need it the most. Thank you for your time and consideration. I hope that we can collaborate as community partners for higher education attainment, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
I do have some questions for Veronica.
I do as well, yeah. Go right ahead, Sabrina.
Well, my question is, of the 464 that were served last year, how many were Edinburgh residents?
I can tell you it's probably been less than 10%, because it's very hard for us to invest a lot of our matching grants without the Edinburgh support. So it's been very limited.
Okay. And then the cost per student?
On average, it ranges between $4,500 to $5,000 per student per year.
How do you recruit the students?
So we do a combination of strategies, right, where all our counselors have access to all the local colleges and the university. We even have satellite offices, so they do perform on-campus outreach and recruitment. But we also work with local employers and identifying opportunities for upscaling, existing employees that may be identified as low-skilled, as well as doing outreach with the public school districts and high school seniors. And then, of course, social media and media platforms.
So I'm aware of EEDC because I've been to many of your events, and I know it's a really great organization, especially in getting somebody that's at one level up to the next level and being able to enhance their income. But what I'm curious about is, because we have a very limited budget, and I don't know if you were aware of that, but what we have left in the budget for these type of sponsorships is not even the $250 that you're requesting. So I did want to bring that to your attention.
Okay.
And I know that in the past there was some large amounts, but I think that was by the city, not necessarily by the EDC. Are you currently receiving funds from other cities or other EDCs? Do they contribute as well?
Yes, we do. So we receive funding from City of McAllen, Greater Brownsville Incentives Corporation, Wesleco EDC, FAR EDC, Mercedes EDC, and then of course we also receive state level funding and private foundations.
And there was some mention about matching money. So if you take all the funds that you do receive from either cities or EDCs, who provides the match for you?
The majority of the matching is state level funding. So if we were able to work out, a collaboration within the city, within a particular funding city, then we could use those state dollars to match and leverage the program together. And
do y'all have any kind of a pledge or provision or anything that you ask for the students so that they, if for instance, let's say the city of Edinburgh gave $50,000, I'm just throwing out a number, that and it funded a certain number of students, that those students would remain to work in the city if possible, because you don't want to, invest and then they go somewhere else, or they even leave the Rio Grande Valley. Right. So is there any kind of a hook, I guess, to keep them here?
So, that's always encouraged, right, to continue in, their city, and ultimately, when we identify them, they have to be residents of the city. Of course, once they get employed with their employer, it's always encouraged to stay within the city. A lot of times that may not be, 100% possible, but at the end of the day, their residency stays here, and so they're spending, sales tax revenue, they're buying homes and cars, and so a lot of the investment does stay here locally.
So, but I guess there's nothing that they sign or anything that
Right.
says that they will
Not
attempt
necessarily
to
work in Edinburgh, correct?
Okay, or remain in the Rio Grande Valley.
If, how much of the 250 are true administrative costs compared to what the student actually gets in terms of?
The breakdowns there.
Yeah, well,
Raul, I see.
obviously in some nonprofits, you've seen 90% is administration and very little goes to the actual individuals. Do you have information?
I can tell you that, so of the grant project amount, 85% is categorized under program services, and then 15% is general and administrative. Now, under program services, that includes the tuition assistance, the textbooks assistance, any academic-related expense, as well as the services that they're receiving, which may include job placement services, the mentoring, the guidance, the workshops, and so forth. That makes them stay in school. Right?
But do you all have something that truly separates each resident is receiving X? Like for the 292,000 that was given, you said only 10% were Edinburgh residents, is that correct?
Right.
Oh, not of the 292.
Of the
I think she was just saying of
464.
the current students that they have, 10%.
Well,
are from
of the previous investment that,
Oh, no.
But
No,
that was
overall
back in
investment.
2015.
I'm sorry?
That was for 2015.
Right, but only 10% of,
No. The 10% I was mentioning about our current year.
okay.
Yeah, so like 46 students from the 464. You said a little bit less, actually.
Right.
Than 10%.
So, and actually, when we receive a grant from the city, 100% of it has to go to students that are residents from that city. So, Edinburgh funding could not assist a Brownsville or a McAllen student.
Right.
So right now, with the 250,000 number you had proposed, it was going to serve 55 students. If the EDC were to give, sponsor an amount below that, you would adjust the numbers, I guess, accordingly to where the average is about 4,500 per student?
Yes, that's correct.
So my question is, whatever the EDC awards, Vida, there's a match from the state for the same amount?
I mean, the matching is spread across, our wide network of, funding cities. So I can guarantee you that, that a portion of that will be utilized in Edinburgh, just not, a concrete amount as to what the matching ratio will be.
It's not a dollar for dollar match.
Yeah.
So you can't, say, we're going to do 20 and the state is going to match us 20 students
Right.
to get 40
Which
students.
would mean
It's
if
not a dollar for
there's
dollar.
55 students being served, we would logically think 110
Right,
students would
but
be
it's
served,
not.
but that's not the case.
No.
Yeah.
What is the actual match from the state?
It's actually a 1-to-2 match ratio, but again, it's spread among all our funding cities. So what ends up happening is, I can tell you, for example, the other contracts that we have, at XYZ city, the benchmark may be to similarly serve, 50 or 60 students, but when we do our annual report to them, we exceed the benchmark. And why? Well, because we're leveraging other funding.
And that funding, just like our funding could only be applied to Edinburgh residents, where is that funding applied?
The state level funding, it's applied to all of the cities that fund us only, right?
So they aggregate all the monies
Right.
that they get from all the different
And that-
sources, and then they use that to get money from the state, and then they use that again to just kind of spread it out among all the different students across the board.
So it's safe to say the state is only going to match maybe a small percentage for the city of Edinburgh, whatever we may contribute?
Right. I mean, I wouldn't say something so small that it's not, significant. I would, confidently say that it would make an impact, neither on the benchmark or the number of students served.
And as far as recruitment for awardees, we recently had a scholarship that involved the EDC, and it was hard to get a pool of students that applied for the scholarships. Do you ever have that issue on your end?
Actually, when we, started the conversation about this proposal, I've gone back, about 3-4 years just to kind of see the interest just from Edinburgh residents on, pursuing job training. And, we've never, at least, particularly just talking about Edinburgh, I don't see that challenge, even as right now that I'm saying, we're serving a small fraction of Edinburgh residents because we don't have the support, but the interest is there. And we have, these Edinburgh students right now enrolled that we're not assisting them at the same level as, say, a McAllen student, right, because of the limited funding.
And so your request is for funding, would that funding goal would be immediate, so it would affect the students applying in fall, or is this for next year, or where would that funding go exactly?
So the proposal is for next fiscal year, beginning October 1st through September 30th. So starting October 1st, it could potentially serve students currently enrolled in the fall semester or assisting students that have the interest to go back to school and then subsequently enroll in a later spring or summer semester.
And one other question, do you, because I think, I know at UTRGV we have, so many of these students qualify for Pell, Texas Grants, the Tuition Advantage program. So that's for $125,000 or less, the family makes, the student doesn't have to pay any tuition or mandatory fees. So are the students first to tap into eligible funding through Pell or Texas Grant and all that, and then whatever they still need, you provide?
That's correct.
Okay.
So we always encourage them to complete the financial aid application, and then VITA will come in as a supplemental source.
Okay.
I can say though, since the Tuition Advantage program has started, as an organization, we have not served any of the students that do qualify under that program. And I would say because VITA really targets a very specific niche, right? So under the Tuition Advantage program, you know, some of the eligibility criteria is that they have to maintain enrollment into a 15-course semester, right? And, you know, typically your full-time semester is 12 credit hours. And so as it is, our students struggle with just the minimum full-time. So we usually don't encourage them to pursue anything bigger than the 12 hours. And then there's also, you know, GPA. I know for that program, you have to maintain a 2.5 GPA, and we work with our students as long as they can maintain a 2.0 or better.
We don't have, Veronica and Dan and maybe Omar, there's nothing that says we have to decide today. If it's October 1st. I mean, this is something, $250,000 is a lot of money, citizens' money, that I think needs more information, more vetting.
I would like to say something. I think that, as stated, we don't have $250,000.
Yeah, and that's partly why I'm
That's
making
partly
the
why.
discussion.
But I think also that it would behoove us to establish a number of students served.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, I know you're asking 55, and I get that, but that's beyond our budget capacity. But I think that 20 students at 90,000 is my recommendation for the program. It gives you a good data starting point for the new budget year if those 20 are hit, and then we can see from there.
But even 90 may be a stretch in terms of the budget, and that's why my purpose of making the comments is to see how much we can actually do. It might be greater than that, but I think it merits some discussion.
And from our perspective, I do want to just emphasize that, you know, our interest more than anything is to reestablish, you know, right, a collaboration and a partnership. And so, you know, this proposal was just drafted upon, you know, a previous contract from years ago, right? So if, you know, based on your feedback, if you were to come back and tell us, you know, we can't do that, but we can meet, you know, at 50,000 or 60,000, then we would be more than happy to welcome that opportunity.
Right. And so can you tell me why such a large gap from 2015? Because I remember when I read that VITA, I'm like, I remember VITA was very, very popular. I heard it all the time, and I hadn't heard anything in years. Can you tell me anything about that?
You know, I would say it probably was a combination of several factors, right? There's been, you know, turnover in leadership, both, you know, within the city and even at our organization. I do know that, you know, the last couple of years there has been interest from VITA to, you know, reestablish this collaboration. There just hasn't, I would say, the opportunity to pursue it.
Great.
Well, and I do think it is very worthwhile. I mean, we know that VITA works, and it's great because you actually get to see the fruits of the money when the student is in a job that is paying a lot more than where they started. The social mobility goes up tremendously. I think it's just a matter of balancing and I think, you know, we could start at one level, and if we see that the results are really great, then the following year maybe we expand upon it some more and continue to expand upon it, knowing that it's a program that has a great return on the investment. So do we, I know, Raul, you have some concerns about making a vote today.
I just,
You want to look at it? I mean, unless y'all want to discuss and kind of come to a middle ground based on our budget.
October 1st, so we got some time to analyze it and look at it.
When do y'all
and show even
submit
more support if we can.
for matching? After you, it's after October?
No, it's actually, we already have some of that secured. So
Okay.
it's been already negotiated.
so my question becomes a budget question on our end, and maybe Omar can help me, but our budget closes September the 30th. So anything done after that would be the new budget year. So as we stand right now, we have the 190 in this current year budget, and if we wait to September, then we're already tapping into next year's budget. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I just don't want to see, if we have the opportunity to help an entity, and we do have 190,000 in the budget now, not to, even if it's
Didn't
at
say
20.
we're not, we're just saying we're gonna look at it deeper. We still have 3 months. It might be even more tapping into this year's and next year's.
We got 1 month for this budget year,
Excuse me, Sabrina.
right, correct?
Yes, well, that's correct, but our contract wouldn't start until October, and so we wouldn't expend the money and pay up front anyway, so we wouldn't
Okay.
pay with this year's
It would not be
budget
with this
funds.
year's funding.
No.
It would be with next year's
Right.
funding.
Right.
Okay.
And Felida, I don't know if you could answer this, but if they were to choose an amount and say it's 50,000, when can you provide us what the match would be so that we would know how many students it would be able to assist?
I could get you that information within a day or two.
That's something to consider.
So if we were making a decision next, or today, just so to speak, this money would not be applied to anyone till after October.
That's correct.
And it will come
For
from
next budget.
next fiscal year.
Correct.
Right, that's correct.
So this fiscal year, this 190 is pretty much done. We're not going to use it.
Can you?
One of it can be
What are
carried
other
over.
cities doing?
Okay.
If you can just, examples.
The other cities investing in VITA,
Sure.
we have the city of McAllen, Greater Brownsville Incentives
But
Corporation.
in terms of the amount.
Okay, actually, city of McAllen is at $500,000, Brownsville at 200,000, FAR EDC at 100,000, Westlaco EDC at 70,000, Mercedes EDC at 25,000, and we're in current negotiation right now with other cities like Mission
That's for
EDC and
next
Harlingen.
fiscal year, correct?
Correct.
Well, I think this is, I don't like seeing the city of Edinburgh left out on any opportunities for students, so I thank whoever reached out to VITA to come present to us, and I know that we are willing to participate, we just got to discuss at what level, and I'm really glad you came to meet with us today.
No, thank you.
Thank you so
you.
much for the
Thank
presentation.
you for your time. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. And now we have discuss and consider approval of advertising in the Mexico Industry Publication. That's item H.
Good afternoon, Board of Edinburgh EDC. Thank you for the opportunity to present our company here to you. My name is Monica Villarreal, and I'm the Director of International Community Publication. We are a media company, with more than 24 years of experience in promoting two sides, the industrial side to the unit business called Mexico Industry, and the commercial side with a unit business called the Shopping in Texas. So what we've been trying, to do is to promote and attract investment for the area, consider as a one big area here to the valley, and this is what we've been, trying to do for years. Edinburgh, we have worked with Edinburgh in the past, also on the industrial side and also on the commercial side. The next page is for our portfolio. We have a lot of experience in doing websites and also on the printed media magazines. You have there, right now we are printing 7 magazines on a monthly basis and another 7 printed magazines on a biannually basis. I'm going to talk about the industrial side, and then my partner Gloria Glass is going to explain about the commercial side. Okay. What we develop in Mexico industry is a program called, investment promotion strategy. So we've been working with the cities in this program. Has two sizes. One, on the printed version that you have there, is we need to put out a magazine that has all the industrial parks with all the companies installed already in each industrial park. And we presented that for the investors. Mexico industry participates in more or less 52 trade shows internationally between Mexico, United States, and Canada. And that's why we give up all the maps for the investors who wanted to invest here in the area. On the other part of the program is we are developing a landing page for the city. If you go to mexicoindustry.com, and we have the industrial invest in Mexico, that's what we call that area, and we have all why to invest in each of the city. We put there 4 basic strategies of the city. Strategic advantages, the economic about the city, infrastructure, and then quality of life. What we've been trying to do to promote, on the industrial sites is to elevate the GDP of the cities, okay, to promote the investment, attract investments and investors here to the area.
I have a question
Yes.
while we're talking about that. On
Yes.
on this magazine,
Yes.
so you have different cities and you'll have information on their industrial park, what's there. I noticed that on page 26, there is, or let's see, 26, it does say Edinburgh Industrial Parks.
Yes.
So that information, currently, since we're not subscribers,
No, we still have there the information. And we update it.
y'all still have that. So what would we
Yes.
gain that's not already in here? We would get a banner, is that right?
Yeah, what we are proposing, yes, is for you to participate in advertising and have a page, to promote the city
I see.
information.
So we would
as an-
have, like, for instance, a couple pages before that, Westaco, down on bottom, they have a banner, and then they
Yes.
have certain information about their city within it. So that would give us the opportunity to do something along that. Now, the price that you quoted, or which
Yes.
was quoted to us, that wasn't for a full page like FAR has, for instance, right?
Yes, and McAllen, yes,
It would be for that?
yes.
Oh, it would, okay.
Yes, for one page, yes.
For a full page like that. And then, in addition to that, we would get access to on your website. We would be on your particular website as well.
Yes, what we're doing on the website, we develop, all information by city. So our target is to have just in one place, the 4 sectors, as I mentioned, strategic advantage of the city, infrastructure, quality of life, and economic, organized in the same way for each city. So the investor will get more familiar, and it's going to be more easy to understand what's going here at the border.
Okay.
So that's the second proposal that we have there, create a landing page with the banner of EDC there.
Okay. And then your readership on it currently, I think you said y'all have 6 regional editions, 15,000 per region, so 450,000 readers. Is that about
Well,
right?
not the reader, because the pass along is more or less like 4 to 5 per reader.
Okay.
Yeah, on the printed magazine. And then on the digital part, if you're on the page 6, this is how, we are being developed on the digital part. We have 198,000 page views on a monthly basis, according with Google Analytics. We have 108,000 unique users, that go into Mexico industry. And we appear more or less on 4.1 million on Google search, not ranking on the first, probably the second and third. So, because we have a lot of editorial information for the industrial, so that's more work we get to be in the 4.1 million. And we have more than 128,000 on social media followers. We have our newsletters, just especially to promote this, content that we are having here, we have more than 27,000 subscribers, that we send out information in English, complete in English, what is going on here, what are the new industrial parks are open, what are the investment that, the cities are attracting. So all the information, that we have on the cities, we're going to be posted also online. They're going to stay there, for everything. So right now, we don't have the landing page for Edinburgh. This is one of the proposals, to invite Edinburgh to participate in this program, so we can have all the information and post it also on that area. And it's gonna call Why to Invest in Edinburgh.
Can you reference any successes that you've had because of the magazine? Somebody prompted to move to McAllen, Edinburgh, or wherever because of this?
I don't specifically have, the names of the investors, but like I said, we've been in business for more than 24. We develop also an investment website that we have a lot of leads, around like 20 leads, for investment, but I don't have a specific name for, which companies have been established on a specific one.
So from a capstone perspective of the magazine's designed for what?
For the investors.
To see the opportunities
Yes.
and whatever, and locations and...
Yes, and what is available on the industrial side, and what are the installed companies, because when they are looking to be here, they wanted to know exactly, okay, what companies are established, and we need to show, to the investors what it represents to be at the border. Because that's, we speak different languages now being on the border, with Mexico, so they need to understand the advantages that we have to also being established here, and they went to have another established in Mexico. We are here right away, So that's why we present this program. And if EDC, for example, you have your own airport, we need to show them, that's why we wanted to explain what EDC has.
Well, and you mentioned that. Secondly, would that map be updated if
Yes.
we were to participate?
Yes. Yeah, the map's
On
been
page-
updated
on
on
page
every
10?
on every 6 months, yes. Yes.
Because right now, you really don't know where Edinburgh's at on that map. On the map itself?
No, Edinburgh is there.
Well, but it's over here. It took me a while to find it on the upper right hand.
Oh, yes, yeah, we don't,
But would it be a continuous map of where it, and not over here in the corner?
I don't.
Would it be redone? Right now, you have everything that you have, and then you have Edinburgh up here and Wessico down here, and it really doesn't give somebody a frame.
Yes.
The reference of where we're really at.
Yes. Well, that is a general map, but if you go down and look for Edinburgh, it will guide it specific
Sure,
all
but-
the industrial parks.
But will this one be updated to a correct map?
Oh, yes. Yes, of course, because I work, as long as we, work together, I work directly with the EDCs to update all the information. It's nothing that we just open, and do it for ourselves. Yes, you have to approve.
And you mentioned that there are over 27,000 subscribers, did I
Yeah,
hear
I'm
correct?
talking about, for the newsletter that we send out on a monthly basis, yes.
Okay.
Who provides the content? So would we be providing you the content, or would you get the content based on information on our website, or how would you know what to put in here?
Yeah, both.
Okay.
Yes, I have my own editor, so anytime that we have any event going on, actually I just participate on the groundbreaking that you have on the industrial park like a couple of months ago. We were here, with we are a media company also, so yes, I brought my own editor, and you get the story and we pull it out. Or if you have, any press release or something that you say, I need this to be upload on the Edinburgh, what's going on, we can also do that. It's gotta be both.
Okay.
So I'm on the website now, so is
Yes.
the banner the one that is midway above the fold line? Or is that the banner? The
Are
one
you on
right
the-
now that says advertisement and it has like the wrist rock? Is that the placement of the banner, or is it the one where, the Harlingen Economic Development? I see Harlingen Economic Development. Which type banner?
And which are you talking about? On the website or on
I'm
the?
on Mexico Industry.
If you go to Mexico Industry, go to the Invest in Mexico,
Uh-huh,
and then go Why to Invest,
okay.
please.
And it'll be on that page?
And it's gonna be there, and then you're gonna go down to Texas, and then when you open it up, it's gonna be, well, right now we have McAllen Mission, it would be Edinburgh, and then
Okay,
the information on Edinburgh,
got
yes.
it. So it's not on the home page? You have
No,
to
no,
go
no,
in.
it's gonna be specifically, yes, for
Got
Edinburgh,
it.
yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
thank you.
So I have a question for Nelda. Nelda, how many trade magazines do we publicize in now?
Trade magazines, we don't have any advertising right now. We do advertise, we have contracts with local newspaper publications. I think we have 2 existing contracts right now, but we don't have any regional type publications that we're advertising in right now. And this, the one that she's referring to, Mexico Industry, is the industrial publication. They also have the shopping, which is on the commercial retail, but the Mexico Industry would target more of our industrial parks, manufacturing, our airports, all of our industrial parks. And what they include right now is our existing industrial parks in the city at no charge. They have just kept that on because we've had a relationship with them for many years back. But it would include a 1-page ad, and so we'd have a full-page ad where we could reference, our map, our location, and more detailed information on our assets.
Okay. And the proposal that was made to us included the advertising in the other magazine as well, right? The
Yes.
shopping one?
Yes.
So you don't have any more questions on industrial? Gloria, my partner is going to
Oh.
talk about a little bit to explain you what is the commercial side.
Okay. Any other questions on the industrial magazine?
I just had another question, going back to the subscribers. You mentioned that they get a newsletter. Is that something separate from what we're looking at here?
Yes.
Completely separate. So how does someone get their hands on this copy right here?
We deliver it, physically to the EDCs, actually, in all the state of Tamaulipas and all here in the Rio Grande Valley. We deliver it inside of the manufacturings with all the lists installed there, and also we deliver it on the trade shows that we go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hello,
Hello.
my name is Gloria Gracia. In a few moments, you're going to find out that English is not my first language, so in case you hear something.
It's okay.
I just want to add something. On the maps, we have been doing this, the company still has 24 years, but the map has like 60. And we have been making revision every 6 months because we have been growing for the last 15 years concerning industrial parks. And they changed the names, and then they add new warehouses. And basically, the idea of this map is to make sure that the people that is coming to do business, they know what is here on this area. A few years ago, the airport from McAllen told me that 75% of the people who arrives on Monday to the airport, they come to do something with the industry. So the idea of doing this map, if I give you a tool that tells you that if you're going to Panasonic and you find out that Mikuni is in front of that, then you're going to do more business and try to take advantage of your trip here. So if you come do more business, then you're going to use more hotels, then you're going to come to restaurants, you're going to use our locations more. So the idea of doing this map is that the EDC also use it as a tool. So when they go to the expos, they can show you what is here in the area. That the advantage of having both sides of the border, because that's one of the strongest advantage that we have here on this. We revise it, not only the maps, but also what he was mentioned, that if Edinburgh will appear. Obviously, we will move some ads because we adjust it every 6 months. And the idea is that, because we give it to EDC sometimes by boxes, when they go outside, they take it. And if you go to the expo, because we participate on those, you can spend 5 days on the Atlanta convention and you don't finish with that. And also there's a lot of people that sometimes the internet doesn't work. So the idea is to give you something that you can take and then you revise, and then you can see all the information on our website. We make a study here and we investigate all the EDCs on the Rio Grande Valley, and we are most sure that the number that we have on clicks on a monthly basis is almost 100 times more, because we put on the Google more than 300 editorials every month, because we have several magazines. So keeping information on the Google allows us to appear too many times. So that's the idea of being a tool for you, for all the EDCs, so you can have the information about labor, growth, location, bridges, seaports, and you can see it in our website. Okay, so that's the idea, to together to try to promote what we have on the industrial. Okay, so I came here to talk to shopping. This is a totally different thing. We created this one 16 years ago because we came from Mexico, and then we arrived to Brownsville, and we find out that there's a lot of things happening here in the valley, new stores, new people are coming to invest, new change. And we were living in Brownsville, we were studying there, and when my brother arrived from McAllen, he says, oh, did you know that this new store is here, that a new event in Edinburgh is coming, that the island. So we find out that the people is not aware of what is happening here in the valley, that the people still in Brownsville were going to San Antonio to buy a Mercedes-Benz. When we usually have it, for example, the Land Rover was first in Mission before there was in San Juan. It belongs to the Ramirez. So the main idea of the shopping is to promote the Rio Grande here for us, but also we find out that the Mexican also has a lot of impact in our economy. So with the advantage of knowing the other market, we decide to create the shopping with information from the Rio Grande Valley to distribute it here in the valley, but also into Mexico, to the people who can afford to come here 3 or 4 days, people that can come, buy houses, invest, put a business, and try to bring money to the area. Well, the shopping is a publication that has been working with the cities because we are doing basically the same, promoting the area. And the way we do it is by let the people give them editorials of what is happening concerning entertainment, outlets, stores, restaurants, so the people doesn't go further to the north. The cities that we have been working, and actually we have been working for you before. Right now we're with Mission, McAllen, West La Cosa, Padre Island, Donna, Harlingen. And on the idea of doing this publication is that we are not only a magazine who have ads, but also we have content that the people can know what new boutiques have, that there's going to be a concert, that there's a new place to shop, or that we're going to have a festival, so make the people come to this area from different places in the valley, but also from Mexico. Our distribution is every month. It's a free magazine. We distribute in both sides of the border. It's in Spanish. 85% of the people here in the valley speak Spanish. And we have 173 points of distribution here only on the valley, between restaurants, hotels, chambers of commerce, economic developments, and some strategic places. Like we are the only publication who is allowed to be distributed inside the mall. We have an agreement with the IHOPs. We distribute the IHOP from Mission to Brownsville. We also have an agreement with Aeromar. You know that right now we have a connection between McAllen and Mexico with Aeromar and Monterrey, Puerto Vallarta, but in specific, Aeromar has a boarding area in the airport of Mexico, and we're there. We send it from here, so the people that is arriving to this area, they can have access to our publication. And what we want to present you is, in the proposal, is to have a page with us as you used to be. And I don't know if you have access to page 8, when we give you an idea of what we're thinking to invite the people to come to Edinburgh. Well, on page 8 of my presentation.
Oh, yes.
But in the magazine, it can be like a page.
Like Wessica's on 15.
Yeah, or South Padre Island.
Or Donna's on 15.
Or the island is on page 5. McAllen 11, o sea, Donna. So have but on the presentation, we send you, it give you an idea of like coming to Edinburgh or come and shop to Edinburgh and visit. And we put even a banner with hotels concerning the hospitality taxes so they know that it's going to promotion. And that's the idea of this presentation, to give you the option if you want to continue with that partnership with us. Also about the distribution that we have, we also participate when the cities invite us. We usually go twice a year, one to Mexico with the city, with the mall, with the airport and Parks and Recreation of McAllen. And we also participate on that, on the fashion shows that they do to bring people. And they usually do it before Semana Santa. Mm-hmm. And also they go to Monterrey before Navidad, Christmas. And we also participate on that to make sure that distributing our magazine so they know what we have here. Basically what we're doing is give information to sell so that people is aware. Concerning our digital thing, the Shopping in Texas has their own website, You can see all the editorials, and you can even go to the print issues, and you can see all that for the last year, 2 years. We have right now more than 53 followers on our Facebook and Instagram, and we also have our website where you can see McAllen is also participating, Cantu is there, Blanco is there, the city of the island, where we put banners so they can link it. On this occasion, now that mentioned that right now they were interested only on the print issue, so that's what we put it there, but I want to make sure that you know that we have at least 53,000 followers on our digital. By the size of our company, we have to create a team of people that is only working on the digital because they know specify what they're doing. And that's the way we have the numbers on those results on our website, on Mexico Industry and the shopping, because they know, and they know that you have to put information, and that's what make Google put you first and give you the option. So the idea of having that experience, that's what make us be able to be growing and to show what's going on here in every city that we work with.
So I notice you have a lot of different stores or hotels or others that also advertise. So if, let's say, if we were to do this, then, and we were to do a page and we were to list hotels and other things on the page, kind of similar to what Wesleco's done on page 27, would you then approach some of the businesses in the city to also advertise so they could augment this and they could continue, so we could build on the Edinburgh, because I see a lot of McAllen in here, of course, but to build on what's going on in Edinburgh?
We have been doing it. As they were mentioning on the map, we have been putting the map, and it's a lot of work, because I can guarantee you that there's no website with the information, with the platform we have on map, because it's a lot, and especially revise it and take all the information, and we're doing it basically for you for the last 60 years. So if sometimes we know that there's new ribbon cutting or something, we check it out, and also we are members of every chamber in the Rio Grande Valley. So if they also send me information, we have been doing that. Okay. But sometimes we don't get it, or there's not enough space. But yeah, you can count. Yeah, you can count on that.
I just didn't know if, for instance, like when you see an ad for a particular hotel or you see an ad for an event, if you're actually selling that to that particular hotel, as opposed to you're just putting things in there, right? You're not doing it for free. You're actually selling it to them. So
no, I have section. We think of this publication because we live in Victoria. So when we came here, you go for shopping, and then where can I get a drink? So that's why we have sections, nightlife, entertainment. You go to your shop, they close the store, and then what you do? So we create entertainment, nightlife, health and beauty, because we know that you want to know more about the city. So our sections are free. And when we are aware of, for example, Mexla, they pay the ad of Mexla. But the other one, we give them.
I see. Yeah, no, that's what I meant. Is that some of these ads are paid for by, and because we'd love to see, if we were in it, we'd love to see some of the businesses that are in Edinburgh also put, you'd have restaurants, you'd have hotels, you'd have others so that it would really build upon what Edinburgh is showing.
Your hashtag, your fiesta, we put up Edinburgh.
Yeah, and I envision putting all our festivals here to get, ma'am, what's your distribution in Mexico? I heard your distribution on this side, but.
See, the total here is 30,000. Of the 117 stay here. The other one goes over there. But for example, we go to specific people, type A and B. We don't go to the riches because the rich just take a plane and they buy it in New York, Houston, all those places. I don't know if you've been in Monterrey, if you know the highways. We have a spot that we take a lot that is called Los Ahijados. So we go to places like restaurants that we know that the people from a specific economic power, they're thinking to come and shop here to this area, as we used to do it when we were in Victoria. And also the idea is that you come here to this area and you're gonna see me in the hotels. And if you don't see me in the hotels, you're gonna go to the mall, I'm there. If not, you're gonna go to a Taco Palenque, I'm there. If not, because you know that Taco Palenque is full of Nuevo León people. If not, you're gonna go to Palenque Grill, I'm there. Good morning, I'm there. The Edinburgh is like the second or third restaurant they visit, like Whataburger. I cannot be at Whataburger, but if the people think if they don't go to Whataburger, it's like you didn't come here to the Valley. So we know because we live it. So if you don't see me on the highway or the restaurants in Tampico, then you're gonna arrive, you go to the mall, I'm gonna be there, IHOP, the hotels, you go to the Courtyard, Fairfield, Homewood, Hampton, Radisson, I'm there. Because even they advertise with us.
I see here, actually Sabrina pointed it out, there's a story on Frida Fest. Did we put that in, or was that just being covered?
That's what the inconvenience. Sometimes we don't get the information, and then we have to get it. Yes. We have been doing the hashtag, the RGB events when the toros play, not all the time because we cannot cover the whole thing, but the idea is to give people information that what's going on, and the people pick it up to know.
Right, yeah, I like it to invite people to our city for our events, for our games. Of course, we can highlight different businesses. So this is monthly, we can change the content month by month. I would, concerts, yeah, I'd like to put the year of festivals on here.
The soccer games, things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And we can help you also with the media. If we have the information, the events, for example, we put it in our Facebook.
Yeah.
So, and we can help you on that.
Would
We usually
you
charge.
say still though, your digital platform is really where people are driving to today versus a magazine? I mean, these are good, but your digital, because I've been on your site, is where most people would go nowadays with their phones. And what's in Edinburgh?
Bueno, on the Facebook, we have 53. No publication here. On Facebook has more than 15 on Facebook. Because we have a team that we try to do it, but after we create, we hire people who's only on that, because that's moving too much. Right now, I strongly believe that because it's a combination. The agreement that I have with the IHOP is the racks cannot be empty. If I don't have to refill, I have to pick up the rack. So by the end, the last 2-3 days before the month ends, I have people that is checking, and if I don't have to refill, I have to take it. It cannot be empty. So the
So
people
we just
still-
created a website. I mean, we recently did. Would you allow our redirect to be on your site of Edinburgh?
No entendí la pregunta. No, in my
So
website.
right now you can go and Google City
Yes.
of EDC, and we have, what we created with, y'all remind me of the company we did it with.
Yeah, name escapes me, but, yeah.
Yeah, and so we paid a lot of money, by the way,
Yeah.
to do that. And there's good content on it. It talks about Edinburgh, it talks about EDC. So would your platform allow, it's just a link to redirect, also, it's just more information about Edinburgh.
If somebody gets into your website to come.
Well, I'm saying get into your website, and then say they're looking at Edinburgh, right? They're what's
On
Edinburgh?
the editorial, yes.
Yeah.
Because I in my website have, if you get into, you're gonna see, creo que es Explore McAllen, and if you click it, and you don't have the money.
Yeah.
If you click it, then it goes to there.
To that.
I mean,
Yeah.
you created that.
So you can, yeah, you can
Yeah, it's a redirect.
link
it
all
is,
the
it's-
different,
We charge.
People will view your content, right? The great things that you create, along with what we've already done. So it's just more info.
Okay, the editorial, yeah, I don't think there's gonna be a
Yeah.
problem. And then maybe we can consider that it has to be more with the chamber or something, then we can redirect it
Yeah.
to get more information. Yes. The idea is that you use the followers that we have, the platform that we have, because that's what we have been doing. In total, we have 15 or 16 publications, and at some point somebody told, well, you should have a printer. It's not our business. Our business is to get information and have the editorials and aware of the people of what is growing. And you know that the past 15 years, we have been growing tremendously. So I consider that our biggest job is to make sure that the people from here stay here, so it doesn't go just San Antonio, other places to buy, and also the people from Mexico stay here and see us a good place to be and to shop or invest.
So,
And
looking at the price, I mean, it's $2,613 a month is what it would come out to, which is cheaper than a billboard or a, you know, any kind of static type of advertisement. And this would be on a website, newsletter, print magazine, and I mean, I think seems like a really good.
It's really something we have not done, and we've been talking about
Yeah.
promoting ourselves in Mexico,
Yeah,
and we haven't done that. At
and
least for
even
the last
here,
year.
across
Yeah.
the entire Rio Grande Valley. So, thank you very much for the presentation.
thank you for your time.
Nelda, did you have any additional comments or anything you wanted to? I know you've been looking at this closely.
Well, I just wanted to add, we had met, and it's been a while that we had done any kind of advertising internationally. I think because of the economy and different things that had transpired, I think now we're getting back to we're wanting to invite everybody to come over to our shops, our hotels, our airport, our user fee airport, and come look at investing back in our industrial parks and properties and manufacturing and locating here. I think that this is a good time to start visiting these types of publications to advertise in. We've partnered with them for many years because of the number of people that they reach. And they've grown over the last few years, the last 10 years that we've worked with them. They have added the website component. I think it's a great idea to have our website linked into theirs as well. And then their social media, that's really at no cost. They will advertise any kind of events because it helps them and it helps the city as well to attract visitors to the city. So for a nominal fee, to be able to do both, I think that it's a good start to get the city recognized internationally and regionally here.
Does the chamber do anything?
The chamber does yeah, they do. They have some print and they have the website as well, which, I mean, we can link those on this as well. I think it would help. If we're all sharing the same type of content and, you know, putting it out over and over again, I think it's going to help us. But I don't think they've advertised in this. So this is an opportunity for us to do it and add maybe their website. And this is a one-year commitment, right? No,
Yes,
this
yes.
is the 31,360 is for the one-year commitment. We're not bound beyond a year. We
No,
look
it's
at it
an
year to year.
annual- It's an annual proposal. It'd be a monthly amount to them. And we have done that in the past where we would advertise the chamber, the city, and the EDC together.
I like
Well,
it.
If there are no further questions or discussion, can we get a motion on this advertisement proposal?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second?
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, thank you very much. We look forward to seeing the name up in lights here. Thank you so much. Okay. On to item I, and I guess I will pass the gavel or the mic, I guess, over to Raul
Our new secretary.
Resendez to handle the
I make the motion.
approval for athletics.
Which one are we at?
Aye.
So
Okay.
UTRGV.
So discuss and consider approval of sponsorship for UTRGV athletics.
Yes, we have a representative with the university. We'll make a short presentation regarding the sponsorship.
Brought too many papers. All right, well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for allowing me to come speak today. My name is Seth Jones. I serve as Assistant Athletic Director at UTRGV Athletics. I've been here about 3 years. I do live right here in Edinburgh. And so I appreciate you guys letting me come speak today. In the past, we've partnered with the Edinburgh EDC as long as I've been here, and it's been a long-standing relationship, and certainly appreciate everything that you guys have done for us. Before we go into the actual partnership, I did bring this one-page document and wanted to kind of go through some really high-level highlights from last year with you guys. I'll start. We've got 270 student athletes currently, and in the classroom they posted a 3.29 GPA. I don't know. For me, that was much higher than what I posted at that age. So certainly, we're very proud of our student athletes. Obviously, with those 270 student athletes, we finished 8th in the NCAA in community service hours. So that's our kids giving back right here in the city of Edinburgh. And then, obviously, what we're here to discuss today is the economic support that we provide for our region. And so I think the biggest highlight that we had last year was hosting the University of Texas right here in Edinburgh. We had a program record, 6,419 fans, just right down the street here. I don't know if were any of you guys at that game. Veronica, I know you were there. Dan, I saw you out there. But that's tremendous. And so throughout our baseball season, we had over 37,000 people walk through our gates. Those are people that are spending money right here in Edinburgh and, of course, supporting our community. You see volleyball there. We had 7,000 fans come through the field house last year. This year we're going to have the opportunity to host the Western Athletic Conference Championships. And with that, we'll host 10 different programs within the Western Athletic Conference to come right here and compete at these ERGV field house. These programs may travel up to 20, 25 members of their team. Many of them will stay right here in Edinburgh. They'll eat right here in Edinburgh, and they'll compete right here in Edinburgh. And so obviously that's a very, very important thing from our end. And then you see on the right, obviously with ticket revenue, sponsorship revenue, and fundraising revenue, that means increased support. And so as we look at those numbers, understand that our programs are growing. I'm sure many of you know that we're starting a women's swimming and diving program in 2024 and a men's football team right here in Edinburgh in 2025. And with that, our student athlete cohort will grow to over 400 athletes that are going to live right here in Edinburgh. As I mentioned, we are hosting the volleyball tournament this year. We are going to host the WAC swimming and diving championships this year as well. That will consist of 10 teams from the Western Athletic Conference. We're going to compete at the Farr Natatorium, but we've submitted a proposal for many of those teams to stay right here in Edinburgh. And those teams will travel up to 50 or 60 student athletes that will stay 6 to 7 days right here in Edinburgh and local communities. And then obviously from the sponsorship standpoint, we want to get your brand out. And so you see the reach that we have on Facebook. We reached over 917,000 people, over 10 million views on Twitter, and over 500,000 on Instagram. And then on our website, and you guys do have a featured sponsorship on our website, 61,000 unique sessions a month. That is a tremendous number, and honestly, we were blown away by that from our end. And so that really is a high-level overview of who we are as an athletics department. We do have 16 sports, as I mentioned, about 270 student athletes, and that will continue to grow in the future. And now in the other document that was provided was the sponsorship package that we've put together. And so this really features prominent spaces within all of our venues. And so what we've wanted to make sure that we do from our end is make sure that the EDC is covered across all of our sports. And so you see, starting at the UCRGV Fieldhouse, we do have signage that's right by the court that will feature the EDC prominently. We do have significant signage at our soccer and track and field complex. Moving forward to baseball, as I mentioned, that 6,419 number. This year we're going to host the University of Houston at home for a 4-game series in March. That's a tremendous regional opponent for us to get coming from just 5-6 hours away in Houston. We do have the baseball scoreboard signage that you've permanently, or that you've had in the past. And then I mentioned the website banner as well. And then you see here, this is a picture that we did with the city. Obviously there's been transition since that picture, but we've featured the city on a check presentation annually. And then the last page just summarizes the sponsorship as a whole. The total asset value would be $26,000, and we're asking the Edinburgh EDC to provide $25,000.
Awesome, Seth. Thank you for everything you bring to the city. I was at that game. It was awesome to see the energy, feel it, and 6,000 plus people. And I know I went to one of the suites where there was a lot of political people there. The mayors were talking, and everyone just got so energized with that crowd. I look forward to get that same energy for the football. So I'm all in for supporting the UTRGV and the partnership with the EDC.
I just have one internal question, nothing for the proposal. But should it not be marketing dollars as opposed to sponsorship dollars? What's your opinion?
We have two separate line items, and so it could come out of either one.
Okay, my recommendation would be that it come out of marketing dollars.
That's a great question because it's signage and I think Sabrina brings up a great point.
Advertising, right.
I also wondered that in the past, why wouldn't it be under marketing?
Sure. I would say because these funds are distributed among our 270 student athletes, you're talking scholarship money when they go on the road.
There's a split of funds.
There is, right?
Okay.
So we do have, there's
makes sense.
a significant advantage, of course, to
Yeah.
having your brand there, but then you have to look and see where these funds are allocated. And so with 270 student athletes, you've got
Got
to
it.
pay for them too.
Got it.
Obviously, it's in school.
So it doesn't
at the
only
road.
just go for signage and what have you, it actually goes
That's
to the...
correct. This
Okay.
money then internally comes into our
That
budget
makes
that we
sense.
use to fund our 16 programs.
How many student athletes are from the Valley?
About 30% of our
Okay.
cohort is from right here in the Valley. And nationwide, I will tell you, that's significant. That's, most of the time, you're going to see 10 to 15% for an NCAA Division I program. And I'll say this too, and this is something that we're very proud of, but just across the 50 states that we have, there's 292 Division I programs in the country, and we have one right here in Edinburgh. That's really important from our end.
Yeah. I commend you on the 92% graduation rate. I think that far exceeds the national
It does.
average.
It does. And that GPA that you see, our kids do spend a tremendous amount of time in the classroom. And then again, we turn around to the community. 8th in the NCAA and community service hours. Our kids are truly giving back right here.
Do you know what the percentage is of that, let's say the $25,000 that actually goes back to the students directly?
I would say almost all. I mean, we go from our budget from a department, we have a line item on the sponsorship revenue. Almost all of that is then, that goes back, it ends up going back and paying for team travel, scholarships, and meals. And so that allows us to do more fun things with our kids.
Any further questions? Now, there's only 23,600 in the budget.
Well, the contract would start September 1st, and so we would pay one payment out of the current year budget, but it would be budgeted for the next fiscal year if it's approved.
Yeah, I did want to mention this earlier, I did not, but we're going to host this year as part of the Leon Black Classic. The University of Texas is going to host 2 games right here in Edinburgh at Bird Ogden Arena, and so we obviously saw the impact of what baseball did, but you think of a basketball and the facility that we have with Bird Ogden Arena, that's going to drive significant traffic from across our region right here in Edinburgh. And so we believe in the impact of college athletics, and we know what these kids do for our community. And so any support that we can get from you guys is huge from our end.
You want to make a motion?
I make a motion to go under the agreement September 1, 2022 to August 31st, 2023 as asked for $25,000.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Thank you, Seth.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
With one abstaining. Thank you, Seth.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Raul, for handling that. So well, I should let you just,
I just
Go on
ordered the
down
Robert
the-
Rules of Order. I just ordered it on Amazon. So I'll be better next time.
oh, you're great. Thank you very much.
I got you, Ron.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Wingman over there.
We're all learning here today. So moving on to item J on the agenda, discuss and consider approval of a development agreement with Capal Supplier LLC.
Yes, ma'am. There are a couple of corrections we need to announce for this agreement. Initially, when discussing this project with the board, they were initially going to make an $800,000 capital investment. I think that was rounded up. But when they actually brought in paperwork and documents, it's an actual value of $745,000. So capital investment should be corrected to $745,000 throughout the agreement. They will have 3 jobs created, but their main impact is in their taxable sales, their annual taxable sales. And so, as previously discussed with the board, this agreement is for a sales tax reimbursement up to $100,000. The company has 2 years to complete construction, and the EDC has 3 years for reimbursing those sales tax funds up to the $100,000.
And Nelda, that number should be 2 million, right, in the estimated taxable sales?
Yes,
Okay.
2 million, and it covers 2% of
Oh,
the.
422, I see, okay, estimated tax sales. Ah, okay, okay. I thought it was 2,022,000, but it's 2,422,000 in 22, I guess, estimated tax sales.
I had a question on this one, in light of how he was gonna use this facility here, knowing that his Wesco locations are his dominant, showrooms. Did he clarify, now that, for the group, if an order from Wesco was gonna be counted, if it was pulled from inventory from here, from Edinburgh, was it
Yes.
gonna be counted in that total?
It was only the Edinburgh location and inventory.
Okay.
That's how it's
Because
specified.
we
in the
asked him, but he
agreement.
didn't really clarify that, but if it's truly sales from here,
Yes,
then
yes,
obviously that's what we want.
yes.
Yeah, because I understood his cabinet company, or cabinet was in Westlaco, and the slabs that he would be selling were here, going to be here in Edinburgh. Is that right? Am I
He
remembering that
still has
correctly?
one,
countertops,
he
right?
still has that there, yeah.
So as long as they're purchased here, not necessarily, it doesn't matter where they're installed,
That's correct.
as long as they're purchased in Edinburgh.
At this location, right.
And so we would have 3 years to pay it out, but he would have 2 years to generate
To
the,
finish construction and the project.
and to do those sales
Right.
numbers.
Right.
And the reporting.
And the reason it says, Anelda, that the term of the agreement would continue in effect for a term of 5 years is why?
That is so that they remain in business at that location for that period of time, due to the significance of the incentive that was offered to them.
So they would, there's a, I guess, a clause then that says that they have to remain in business here for at least 5 years?
Well, I think as it reads right now, it says that the agreement is in place for 5 years. And so we could add a clause in there to clarify that they would have to remain open and operating in Edinburgh for those 5 years.
Yeah, because I mean, our commitment would be over in 3. And so then they may say, well, why do I have to be, what is it, 5 years? But I think if we say, you know, we want you to invest here, but we're doing this because we want you to remain here for 5 years, so we make it clear in the agreement that that they have to stay in business here for 5 years.
Yes, we can make that clarification.
Okay. I know we visited about this one last time a little bit. And does anybody have any further questions or?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
So on the grant payments, they're gonna get the payment after they meet the criteria of 3 full employees and
Finished construction, yes.
Okay. Because I'm kind of reading and I got confused. It's in that legal language, but that's what it means, right?
Yes, it's reimbursed after they have completed construction, they provide their certificate of occupancy, and their number of employees, and then once they provide information that they've reached those taxable sales,
Okay.
then they'll get reimbursed up to
Okay.
that amount.
Thank you, Nelda.
If everybody's comfortable with it, can I get a motion then to support the incentive agreement as written and discussed, and also with the change, instead of the 800,000, for it being 745,000 in capital investment?
I make that motion with the changes discussed today to approve
Second?
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Passes unanimously. All right, now item K, discuss and consider approval of development agreement with MGen Capital LLC.
Yes, this is a project here on University, just the plaza right in front of the Walmart, next to the Slotsky's area. This is a plaza that will be bringing in 2 franchise tenants to that plaza. They will be creating and retaining 93 jobs total, putting in a capital investment of $500,000. And the incentive that has been discussed with them is a 2-payment installment of $35,000 each for a total of $70,000 as a reimbursement upon their completion of the finish out for those 2 franchise tenants. They have 24 months to complete the agreement, and it would be a reimbursement basis based on the 2-payment installment.
So if I remember this one correctly, no, this is the one where it was going to be Jersey Mike's on one corner and then the
Yes.
other franchise on the other corner.
That's correct.
Jersey Mike's had already agreed to come and already had a lease.
Right.
And then they were negotiating with the second tenant. Have they been able to negotiate a lease on that one
I
yet?
believe they already have negotiated with the other franchise. They have a letter of commitment, and I think that they're waiting to finalize their lease, but they do have their letter of commitment from that other franchise.
So this is $70,000 basically to help the guy make the needed repairs and improvements to the complex, so
Right,
that was drawing them there.
that's correct. It's site improvements for the spaces for those 2 franchises.
This was the one we had a question on. He wanted us to replace his entire roof. And, that was more
Yeah, we countered
his
with,
business.
right, we
Yeah,
countered with this
with this.
proposal.
So of the 93 full-time equivalent employees, he's saying that those 2 franchises are gonna employ 93 full-time people?
No, I think that's as a
whole
result
building,
from all the
the whole
plaza
strip.
tenants.
The whole
It's
strip.
93 jobs created and retained.
Full-time?
Yes,
That's
or
what it
full-time
says.
equivalent.
Okay.
And the whole complex?
The whole strip.
Yes.
Right. Since we're giving an incentive for the
Correct.
complex.
Okay.
Yeah.
The entire strip mall, if you call it, if you say, benefits from the improvements.
Correct.
Is the 500,000, did they clarify, is the 500,000 his, obviously when you get a tenant and you give them an allowance, how much is being paid by Jersey Mike's of that 500,000 and by Dunkin' Donuts?
The breakdown that he provided, that 500,000 is a breakdown between the 2 tenants, and that's his cost for those tenants. And it does include the roof finish out and which is not a
We can ask
qualified.
for his contracts with them, correct?
Yes, we do have the one with Jersey Mike's, and we're just pending the one from the
And
other
does it
franchise.
have allowance in there, how much, what Jersey Mike is investing and what he's investing?
Let me check. Under tenant allowance, landlord is providing tenant with 58,800 in allowance.
So that's
That's the
58 of the,
landlord's,
I'm sorry?
that's a landlord's allowable.
Yeah, so
amount to the
he's
tenant.
saying 500,000, but he's only paying 500,000, but he's only paying 58,000, which means Jersey Mike's is taking on the rest.
Well, the breakdown that he provided, he included the 58,000, but there is a whole 321,000 is just for Jersey Mike's.
Right, but Jersey Mike's is gonna come in and they're gonna invest in, I mean, they do their own built outs.
They're gonna
and-
do finish out.
Right, which is their, so, but on the contract states, he's only paying 58,000.
No. But if you look at that page before this one,
Yeah.
he breaks it down into the improvements that he's making, the total, the amount, the 321,000 for Jersey Mike's. So it includes the 58,000 for the tenant improvement allowance, but then it also includes what he's paying in lost, or what he's losing in lost rent, his repainting of the facade, the parking lot, the roof membrane, the refurbishing of the pylon sign, et cetera. So that's how he got to the $321,000 number just on that particular site. And then there'll be for the other one, the Dunkin' Donuts, where so he has to have up to $500,000 that he's basically out of pocket, and we would be reimbursing him $70,000.
Right.
And he'll show receipts of that?
Yes. To be able to reimburse him, he'll have to provide the COs.
500,000 worth of receipts?
That's correct.
Okay.
Now, I know we had discussed, or we had talked about him not selling the property for 3 years or so, or not transferring or selling the property. Can we include that in the agreement?
Yes, yeah, we can add that in there. It's not included right now, but we can add that in there.
Because he hinted at that.
Yeah, we just didn't want him to do all the improvements and then sell it for a lot more and then have already gotten the incentive. But here he can't get the incentive anyway till he shows us the proof of.
Yeah, and he has 24 months to complete the improvement, so a 3-year stipulation would not.
Well, that means he can turn it around 1 year after he finishes it, which is what an investor generally does in 12 months. Can we do it 5?
We could.
You see what I'm saying? It's gonna take him 2 years to do it. So it's not gonna capitalize in 2 years. It's gonna be worth that much more after the 2 years. And we're saying in 1 year he can market it and sell it.
But it's not costing us any more money. I mean, we're paying him 70 to do what he had to do in 2 years. After that, what he does with it, I mean, I think by requiring him to stay an additional year, that's plenty of time. I don't know. I mean, I just assume that, how do we tie his hands after he's met his obligation and we've met ours?
Well, if it takes him 2 years, can we go 2 years, he keeps 2 and it goes to 4? What we're trying to do is not use us as his investment to improve his property to sell it.
Yeah.
Now,
I
Jersey
mean,
Mike's and Dunkin' Donuts will still be there.
Well, I
Right.
think that with the assistance the EEDC is providing, it's going to improve the property, and thus the value of the property will go up also. So property taxes will increase.
Sure.
So even if somebody else were to come in and buy it, city would still enjoy those property taxes collected.
yeah, it doesn't matter if it's him or anybody else that owns that property at that point. It's the fact that the property has been improved that's going to help us.
Correct.
And the way I see it is, how do we help this business owner bring these other businesses in, right? Jersey Mike's, we met with them in Vegas, and we're excited to have them in town. But I don't think that relationship, was that already in place? I don't remember. But anyway, I'm just glad that we're facilitating in one
It
way or
was
another.
already leased before we met with him.
It was, yeah. I remember him telling us
They
that.
were already coming.
They were already coming. Of course, they have their specs that they have to have before they even, I guess, solidify. But Sabrina brought up a point.
On the contract, Nelda, it says 93 full-time equivalent new jobs. I think it should say 93 full-time and part-time employees, because if you go to I start questioning, like, how are they going to do 93 full-time employees? But if you go to the chart, the breakdown, it says full-time, part-time employees, 93.
Well, full-time equivalent is where they take the 2 part-time. I'm trying to find the attachment.
Yeah, they're not numbers, so I can't.
University Corner tenant information.
It's University Corner tenant information. It has gray and blue.
Oh, yes.
It's right.
Yeah, and usually when referring to full-time equivalent, if there's 2 part-timers, that
Equals one.
equals one full-time
So
equivalent.
would that number still be adjusted in the contract to be lowered then? Because I just, when we come back to see if, get paid out and all that, I want it to match. And so if it says 93 full-time here, but over here, 93 is considered full and part-time employees, could we have the language be consistent? However that is, I'm not a numbers person, but I was like, how can they do 93 full-time people with 5 businesses? It just didn't, that would be 18 full-time people in a Dunkin' Donut, and it just didn't make sense. So
they
if we
have
can just
the-
get that to line up.
Yeah, I mean, it does say, this will continue supporting the 93 full-time, part-time, and manager-level jobs at the
Right.
small regional and national businesses operating at the corners. So it's all of them. I know there's a nail place, there's
Yeah.
there's another, I think maybe cellular phone or something there as well.
T-Mobile, yeah.
Yeah.
And just in the contract, though, it
Yeah.
says 93 full-time.
Yeah, I think we should
This
probably,
is full-time equivalent.
we should check with
So,
him.
okay, full-time equivalent. We would have to, I don't know what full-time equivalent means now, but I'm just gonna play ignorant, I
Well-
don't know.
Well, usually when we give credit for for employees or jobs created, it's full-time positions, but because a lot of the businesses have part-timers, more part-timers, you'll give a credit for full-time equivalent, so the 2 part-timers equal 1 full-time.
Okay.
But it's at the discretion of the board if they want to go ahead and change it to 93 full-time and part-time total.
And the only reason I say that, because we've had people come before us and we question, or they didn't hit their employment numbers, and they didn't, or something. And I just want to have apples to apples, oranges to oranges.
Yeah, no, I agree. Let's clarify it, because it also says right above that, he's talking about funds to support the repaving, which will cost $65,277. This will support the addition of 29 new full-time, part-time, and managerial jobs. And then below that, he talks about the 93, so it's not real clear which one. If he's told us he can create 93 full-time equivalent, that'd be great. But if it's 93 employees overall, which is full-time, part-time, and managerial, then I think we need to be clear in the contract on that, so that later on, he doesn't say, you owe me, and we say, no, we don't.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
So do you want it to change to full-time and part-time total?
Well, I think we need to clarify with him which one he meant. If he means full-time, part-time, and, I mean, all employees, then, yeah, we just make it all employees.
Yeah, I agree, because if this board changes in 2 years or whenever this, they'll see that and they'll say it didn't qualify. Just to clean up the language.
I mean, I think we could make a motion today, based on clarification, that it's, whatever it is, whether it's 93 employees or 93, how would we word it, I guess?
Well, just my suggestion, if the board is comfortable with it not being a full-time employee requirement, then you might as well just refer to employees in general.
Okay.
right, 93 employees.
Yeah, I agree. Which is still a lot of employees. I mean, if you think about it, for that small
For
strip
that
center.
5 shops. It's 5. It's a lot.
So 93 total employees? Okay.
So again, $70,000 over 2 years, and in return, he's got to create 93 jobs, $500,000 in capital investment, and
Remain open for 3
remain
years.
open for 3 years, right?
Maintain.
Create and retain.
No, maintain and create, because he probably doesn't have 93 at this point, but,
Noted when we met with him, the taqueria actually has more employees than the Dunkin' Donuts will have.
but the taqueria will be gone,
Yeah, well, I mean, they're not renewing their lease.
yeah.
And that's why they're gone, not because they're closing, they're
Right.
non-renewing their lease. But the taqueria actually will have, and currently has, if they had maintained their lease, more employees than the Dunkin' Donuts. So we're actually, so where's the extra?
Well, probably from
Jersey Mike's.
Jersey
There's
Mike's,
30-some
because there's
employees.
nothing on that corner right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I mean, so that's the,
29 employees.
Well, he's committed to 93 total jobs, part-time and full-time.
In order to get his incentive, yeah.
So he'll have to provide that information before reimbursement is done.
So if y'all are comfortable with that, can we get a motion based on what we've discussed?
I make a motion to accept the proposal with the changes.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, anyone opposed? Okay. All righty. Moving on to item L, which is discuss and consider approval of the development agreements with Domain Development Corp.
Yes, there are two agreements for this item. One is for Brentwood Plaza, which is located off of Freddie and McCall. He is proposing 5.2 million in capital investment and build out of 22,000 square feet of plaza space. The incentive that was proposed to him was a $200,000 incentive for site improvements, and he will have to complete the project in a 3-year period and provide certificate of occupancy and receipts and invoices for that reimbursement. And the second project is Hyde Park, which is located on McCall, just north of Alberta. That's also a commercial retail plaza, 4.34 million in capital investment. That one will be about 21,175 square feet of plaza space, and that also has a proposed incentive of 200,000 for site improvements on a reimbursement basis for the same period of a 3-year completion of that project.
On this item, I know we brought up something about having charging stations. Did we? What?
There's 2 charging stations that he is committed to, and that's included in the agreement.
Great.
2 for each location, correct?
Yes.
Great, and no other changes needed?
No, not for this one. There's 120 jobs estimated to be created as well.
And we'll change that to employees, just for consistency.
We can do that.
Okay, sure.
And again, these are upon completion, right? Certificate of occupancy on each?
Yes. Upon completion and evidence of receipts, invoices, and employees for the reimbursement.
The cost reimbursement, okay. And I know, are they both 3 years, the period of completion, 3
Yes.
years? Yeah. So how do we, since it's 3 years from now, basically, how do we account for that in the budget? Do we hold a certain amount? How do we do it so that we always know that that obligation is there 3 years from now?
Oh, if this gets approved, then we will include it in the budget, and we'll have to include it in the next 3 years' budgets as well. It'll have a line item for that project for that amount,
Okay,
for each fiscal year.
so we know we're obligated during that time
Yes.
period? Okay,
Yeah, just like a bond or anything else, it's just part of the budget.
okay. Are y'all comfortable with this one? No, we looked at last time.
this is true organic growth. not unlike the first one.
I'm excited for it.
True
Yeah.
organic.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
This is 3.4% and we just gave 15% on the other one. So this is a better bet.
Would you like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Motion passes. All right. I think that includes all of the items for regular agenda items, and then now we were going to go into executive session. We want to thank you to our guests who have presented today. And it is now,
We need a motion for that.
oh yeah, can we get a motion to go in executive session?
So moved.
Second?
All right. Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, we will now go into executive session, and it is 6:03 PM. Was I sitting there or here? I can't remember. All right, we're going to come back out of executive session. It's now 9:01 PM. We're back in open session.
Oh, actually, we just need we need a motion.
Oh, yes, we need a motion to exit executive session, enter back into open session.
That's right, yeah.
So moved.
Second. Okay, all in favor, raise your right hand, please. Okay, everybody's back in open session, and I think we had one item that we needed to get approved. It's item 7G, discussion and possible action regarding employment matters. Can I get a motion on that one?
I make a motion to authorize a statewide search as discussed per executive session.
Second.
And just to clarify, this is for the executive director position.
Yes, for the executive director position. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion on the table and a second. All in favor say
Discussion.
no. Discussion
Any
first?
discussion?
Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
I just want to make some comments regarding the hiring of the executive director, the future hiring. I think we have a great opportunity here that, first of all, I want to thank Blanca and Brian for all the work that they did. They're no longer with us, so which now requires us to hire a new executive director. So I think by doing this hire, I think it puts us in a position of true transparency, of ensuring that we get the right future candidate for the city of Edinburgh. I think our citizens deserve that. And my view on hiring somebody is not from somebody local, although they may apply, and I know we have a lot of great talent here locally, and even from a statewide perspective, I would like us to consider hiring a firm, a professional firm, that their job is to hire these type of individuals. I think Edinburgh is primed for new vision, not only locally, nationally, but internationally. And this new executive director, he or she, is going to have the opportunity to take us into new directions, which we need today, and hopefully one that's very competitive. So I just want to ensure, or my position is to look at it from a national perspective.
Thank you, Raul. And, I think that one thing that we all very much agree on is the fact that we want the best talent for the city in this position. And it's not necessarily about rushing it. Nobody's looking to rush it, but it is about trying to find someone who also understands the city, that understands the Rio Grande Valley, that has the contacts, that knows the assets that are already here. And so I think the sentiment is that we would start with a statewide search, which would be under also advertised under TEDC, the state's site, which at times does draw national people from outside of the state of Texas who are looking to locate in the state of Texas to apply. So let's see what the pool, I think our sentiment has been, let's look at what the pool produces. If we find that it is insufficient, we still have the option, of course, of proceeding with a headhunter at a cost, of course, but proceeding with a headhunter and then going for a national search. So we'll take it one step at a time, and let's see what happens based on the vote of the board. Okay, so we had a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand, please. Those opposed? Okay, so we have one opposition, and we will move forward with that initial search, and let's see what it produces. And I think that's the only thing we had back in open session, so can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Okay. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, we are adjourned at 9:06 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.